Let's call this meeting of the Henley Holmes and Royal Building Committee to order at 6:03 on September 25th, 2024. First order of business is to approve the minutes from our last meeting, which was August the 21st, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes? Paul moves. Tom seconds. All in favor? Aye. Great. Unanimous. Second public comment, we have Stephen Gabriel, who is a neighbor of Henley School, who called me a week or so ago and wanted to address the committee. So, Mr. Gabriel, the floor is yours. We ask that you keep your remarks to 2 minutes or less.
I'll do my best, and thank you, Chris. And as I thank Chris when I made him the call, obviously the committee members understand this is a volunteer position, so a significant amount of work on your part. And as a Darien resident, first I'd like to say thank you. But yeah, I'm the owner of 4 Pasture Lane and has been receiving significant flooding, since I moved into my home back in 2001. Obviously, this storm, luckily I wasn't here for the August storm. But neighbors' pictures, were showing me I almost had water entering through a back door in my house, which was, my property hadn't been flooded in that area ever, but, that obviously was heavy rain. But I also want to just discuss the 12-inch pipe. Obviously, my deed allows a 12-inch pipe to run along my property line. And at least on my property, you're allowed to have a 4-foot section to run this pipe. And as we found out when we were exploring the pipes last year and a half, 2 years ago, I actually have 2 pipes, one that is completely plugged, and then I have a cement box where these pipes join. So obviously that is not in the deed. So I was asking at that time if that could be corrected. And then also, if you look at your construction plans, you notice that pipe does, at least on the plans, runs right along my property line, which is fine. But in reality, it actually runs, I'm going to say probably the 80-foot section from the back of my property with Henley School. It runs on an angle well outside of that easement. So, I made a request back then with all this construction going on that, now would be a great time, with the, supposedly maintenance that's supposed to be done and the pipe to actually put it in the correct easement. So again, I'm making that, request at this time. If that could be done, this way everything complies to what's supposed, at least what my deed's supposed to say. And then I just wanted to bring up in some concerns. Obviously, you're putting in a quite extravagant water retention system that's going to be obviously behind my house in the school, which will hopefully relieve some of this flooding that we're getting. But what I've been experiencing since that pipe had been cleared out is the simple volume of water coming from the school. And of course, that 12-inch pipe is going to be there. The first, outlet of water is that 12-inch pipe. And what is happening is the water flows through that pipe and it gets to the end of my property to a storm sewer on Pasture Lane. And there is so much water, and the existing sewer system beyond that just simply cannot handle it. And the water actually comes up through the sewer grate. And, there are times there's probably 3 to 4 inches of water on Pasture Lane, probably 20, 30 feet wide, flowing across the street, obviously onto my neighbor's land. But, I'm not the neighbor, so obviously that's their argument. So obviously that's an outlet of water onto the street. And even with that outlet, it's a significant amount of outlet, the water still backs up onto Henley School property. There's a storm sewer. It used to be the old art room, but I guess it would be the southeast corner of the school. And that's where I experienced the flooding. So even with that outlet onto Pasture Lane, there's still so much water that actually comes up that sewer grate on Henley property and then flows across my property.
Okay, Mr. Gabriel, we hear you. I think anything that's off the school campus, I think, as I maybe noted, we need to coordinate with Public Works. And I believe that's Ed Gentile, and I alerted him to your concerns. We think, based on what our civil engineer tells us, that the new stormwater management system should significantly alleviate the issue. that's going to take a little while to get installed. In the meantime, there is a, temporary detention pond, which, we're told is the best solution on a stopgap basis prior to the installation of the new stormwater system.
Mhm.
So I guess all we can do is ask you to bear with us while that gets completed. The storms that we had this summer, per our civil engineer, were extraordinary. Thankfully, it hasn't rained in like 3 weeks. But in terms of the pipe that is not on the school campus, I think the best we can do is coordinate with Kevin Manrett and the public works folks in Ed Gentile's office to try to address that.
Just, yeah, from my understanding, it is a Board of Ed responsibility to maintain that pipe, not the town, at least on my property. So it is a Board of Ed, that is at least the easement was given to the Board of Ed, not the town.
Okay.
So just as a heads up.
Yeah, no, we'll absolutely look into that further.
And then, just obviously, significant amount of water continue to put, because I know Ed, I made the comment when, back in November of 22, January 23, that they did not want to increase the capacity of the sewer system on near water or whatever. But, asking you to continue to put pressure because, it's easy to tell the color of the water is brown. So it's coming from the school.
Right.
That the system beyond, pasture lane just cannot handle the outflow.
Again, we recognize that the water coming from the school now is runoff from the construction area, right? And I don't mean to cut you off, but we just don't have the authority to do anything as it relates to increasing capacity at Nearwater. The only thing we had the authority to do, and we feel like we've been pretty responsive, was to have our civil engineers design the new detention system, which we think is good. Design the new detention system and also design the new construction and the renovation in such a way that the amount of runoff is reduced.
Okay.
So, but I'll definitely circle up with Kevin and have Kevin talk to Ed Gentile and coordinate if in fact it's a Board of Education or school district obligation to maintain that easement.
And just to make sure it's not that July storm or the August storm. A simple thunderstorm causes these issues.
Okay.
Well, thank
you.
Yep.
All right. Not a heck of a lot in the chair's report, separate and apart from some of the items we're going to hear about from O&G, AP, and finance update and approving the pay app. The one thing I do want to note is there is a service on Saturday morning for our late colleague Dave Martin. It's at the Congregational Church on Brookside, the corner of Brookside and the Post Road. It's at 11 a.m. I'm going to attend. I'm sure Dave's family would appreciate anybody else from the committee who's able to show up as just a sign of respect. He was such a huge contributor to our committee while he was part of the committee. So just wanted to put that on people's calendars. Jill, anything you want to add from the chair's report?
But no, Sarah and I'll be at the service as well.
Okay, great. Matt, I know Scott's not here. Matt, do you have some time to give us an update on, kind of a quick download on the last OAC meeting, where progress is on the schools since we last met?
Yep, I'm happy to do so. I'll go on a school by school basis. So since we last met, school has resumed, and phase 1A has been completed at all 3 schools. We're continuing on phase 1B. I will start with Henley School. So the new exit out of the parking lot has been completed onto the post road from the school. Excavation and foundations have been finished for the new addition. We have removed the temporary fencing from the summer phase, and trenching and installation for the storm piping and structures that was started over the summer has finished. There's still more to go as the project progresses for that. The courtyard in the middle of the new addition, between the new addition and the existing school, is being prepped, and the forms are being installed for the concrete structures. On the interior of the school, we installed the temporary partition to separate our workspace from the schools. We have a full fire rated, 1 hour rated, and airtight barrier between our operations and the school's operations. And the ceilings are staying down for the remainder of the project in the hallways. I can move on to Holmes next, if that's fine.
Sure. Yeah, why don't we hit all 3 schools, and then if people have questions, we can have them raise them.
Sure.
Matt, you want to just give a quick highlight of what's the big stuff that's coming up at Henley, like 1 or 2 big milestones coming up?
Yes. So I didn't know if this was the time to go into.
Sure. Yeah. No, that would be helpful.
Okay. So back on Henley, we're scheduled to have steel delivered tomorrow to the project, and then that erection and milestone will be happening over the next 3 or 4 days. The school will be doing a steel beam signing and a raising ceremony as well as part of that project. Once steel completes, we'll be framing out the building, we'll be installing the roof, and a lot of the dirt that's piled up on the job site will be used to backfill all of the foundations, free up more area on the site, and alleviate a lot of the concerns of the existing dirt that's remaining there.
Great.
Okay, moving on to Holmes. Similar condition, finished up 1A, moving on to 1B. We've excavated the deep foundations for the music addition, and for the classroom addition, that concrete has been formed and poured already. Steel will be coming as part of the next steps, starting on Monday at Holmes, and that process will last approximately the same, 4 to 5 days there, since it's 2 additions that are being built. Detailing, roofing, and framing will commence afterwards. On the interior of the school, we've installed the barrier for the areas that we're working in, specifically the electrical room, and that's similar condition. It's airtight, 1 hour fire rated as well. We've installed new ceiling grid in the classrooms that we've worked in as part of phase 1A. That was a similar condition at Henley that I didn't touch upon. And the hallway ceilings remain down in that school as well. Move on to Royal. The schedules for the most part for the summer all aligned for all 3 schools. Phase 1A has been completed. We've done trenching for the utilities for the electrical service at Royal as part of the site work. The parking lot expansion was finished at Royal, along with a little additional drainage that goes under the parking lot. We've finished excavation for the classroom addition, and we have formed and are pouring concrete for those additions as well. Steel will be delivered during the week of the 7th for Royal. It's the same contractor that we have here at Henley, so they're doing the work at Henley and then moving on to do Royal afterwards. That's for the Global Learning Commons and the classroom edition at Royal. We've removed all the fencing from the summer phases on the exterior, so the site has been constrained similar to the other 2 schools. On the interior, it's the same condition. We've installed the temporary partition down the hallway, separating our workspace for the Global Learning Commons from the school, 1 hour rated and airtight. We've done some classroom work as part of the phase 1A, so those ceilings are back and installed. The corridor ceilings remain down as well for those.
Great. Any questions or input from any of the members? I'd actually like to, if they have a few minutes, and I know it's been a long day for them, but maybe if have the principals, any input from the principals on how things are going and how they're able to run their school days? Any new updates on that? Last we'd heard, things were still going pretty smoothly, but I don't want to presume anything.
I would say everything is still going smoothly at Royal. Right now, the majority of the work is outside in that global learning commons area. So really, when you're inside the building, you don't know anything is going on unless there's some noise, which is really few and far between. And everyone's been really good at alerting us if there's going to be noise, but everyone's been really conscientious about making sure that's happening before or after the school day. So those ceilings are still open, but now that we're at the end of September, everyone's really used to it. And, the kids aren't looking up at it as much as they were at the beginning of school. So I would say things are business as usual and school is running normally. And thanks to everyone on this team for making sure that was going to happen.
Great. Paula, things okay at Holmes?
Yes, I can echo what Natasha said. And I'll add on by saying that Natasha had the idea of doing a construction worker appreciation week. So we did a lot of school spirit things related to construction and taught the kids a little bit about construction. And it was a nice way to bring the two entities together, even though they're not together. So, but it was a nice week. So, but in terms of all the work that's being done, things are going really well at Holmes as well.
Great. Moving on, Tom, I know Rob's not with us this evening, but Tom and Paige, and Jill, I hadn't seen an update from Jen Charneski. I know we got the monthly reports from Scott Torrey. I don't know if folks had a chance to look at those and had any questions or comments or anything that they wanted to discuss that were included in the monthly reports in terms of finance or how we're doing. It didn't look like we had any current change orders underway.
I think maybe something relevant for that Matt could answer is just, we wouldn't expect these to move at an even cadence, but we're anywhere from 547 to 911. Just for committee members who, and those are in hundreds of thousands, for committee members who might want to understand why there's a difference, their projects are relatively similar. Why would we see some differences in the bills?
Oh, and the monthly pay apps, you mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Matt, let me know if you'd like me to chime in on any of this, or I'm happy to do it if you want.
Sure, you can,
Okay.
if you have some insight.
Yeah, I mean, really, I could call them up, Jill, to see what the exact differences are, but we have, we do have different trades across the projects. So a lot of it will probably be related to a trade that's different from one job to another. And on one of the projects, they may be behind. I think we talked about this. Some trades, surprisingly, we're trying to pay that they've done, but despite that, some trades are very slow in getting themselves set up with submitting the schedule of values to us so that we can approve how the work's going to be broken down, and then others are more aggressive with that. So you may see that some differences there too. There may be some materials that arrive for a specific project, but the other projects, the projects are going to move at a slightly different pace, all arriving at the same time, but there may be a big material delivery that hits one project that doesn't hit others, that could sway it the few $100,000. It's with the size of the invoices that will be coming through, it won't be surprising to see some six-figure, even at times high six-figure difference in bills from one project to the other.
Thank you.
And I guess to add to that from a logistical standpoint as well, for the summer, the projects worked at a fairly similar pace, but now you might see the difference with how the projects progress with the phasing, whereas Holmes has 2 additions being put up at once. Royal has 1 this year, 1 next year, and Henley only has 1 addition total.
Well, yeah, that may explain it, because Holmes had the highest pay app by a couple $100,000.
Mm-hmm. So while the idea for all the projects is the same, the amount and quantity of work that happens at any given moment might be different.
Thank you. Tom
Okay.
and Paige, can you guys work with Rob and Jen Tarneski to make sure that we have a finance report in time for this meeting every month?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. So with that, speaking of pay apps, excuse me, let's move on to the pay apps. We have pay apps for each of the 3 schools. The way we've done this, as you recall from each of the previous meetings, is we've done them as 3 separate motions because they're 3 separate projects for the state's purposes. So the first one I have is Royal. Can I get a motion to approve pay application number 4 for the period ending August 31st, 2024 for Royal School in the amount of $679,161.08. Paul moves. Jameson seconds. All in favor? We got an in favor and a bless you, so good. Looks like we're there on Royal. Can I get a motion for Henley Elementary School pay application number 4 for the period ending August 31st, 2024 in the amount of $547,047.51? Sarah moves. Tom seconds. All in favor? Great. And lastly, can I get a motion for Holmes Elementary School pay application number 4 for the period ending August 31st, 2024 in the amount of $911,464.53? Sarah moves. Paul seconds. All in favor? Great. So those are approved. Dave Cravenzola and Matt, now that these are approved, they will go to Jen Charneski or go to Town Hall. Jill and Rob Cardone and I will sign them. They'll then, get processed through Jen and Rich Rudel, so you guys can get paid promptly.
Thank you very much.
I don't know that we have any. While communication update is on the agenda, I don't know that we necessarily had any specific items, unless Jameson and Sarah, there was anything you wanted to bring up. I think, as people know, the open houses were on the 12th, and those went well. I think we had great participation. I'm having a little bit of a mind block here. We haven't met, I don't think, since those open houses. I know we had an OAC meeting the day after the open houses. I think for the most part, I was at Royal with Scott Torrey. We got some good questions. We got some good feedback. People seemed really, really positive. I think it was a great idea to have the committee and ONGAP representatives at the open houses. I think the parents and the principals appreciated it. I know, Tom, you were at Holmes and Jill was at Henley. So maybe if you guys could just, I know you did a download at the OAC meeting, but I think you all had some similar experiences.
Yeah, I was with John. We had 20 plus parents came in either to say that their kids were actually really enjoying the experience of going to school in a construction site. And then a handful were sort of asking more specific questions around the projects. Some admitted that they hadn't actually been reading some of the newsletters that get sent out. But overall, it was a very positive experience.
Similarly positive at Henley. A lot of people came through. We're just excited to see the pictures. We did get a few questions about noise and things that the principal had already communicated with APONG about, and there were already some remediation efforts in place. But all in, most people that we spoke to very excited to just see the pictures and hear about what's coming. And very little concern about disruption in the school day other than the occasional mention of noise.
And I think on a sort of slightly longer time trajectory, I know, Matt, you had done that really, really helpful kind of bullet point summary a month or so ago for Jill that she used to communicate to the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen on kind of the state of each of the projects. There is a state of the town meeting that's in early December. I think it's the 9th of December. Jill, and I don't know that we necessarily need to submit anything before that, but certainly ahead of that, I think it might make sense for Matt to kind of recreate that update that he did so that the different boards have that information going in the state of the town.
Yeah, if that's RTM, we should talk, Chris, but that's the approximate timeframe. The RTM reconstitutes itself right after Election Day. So if we're not invited to State of the Town, we might be invited slightly before Election Day or slightly after.
Okay.
The State of the Town.
So yeah, I guess late November, early December, Matt, if we could target updating that that bullet summary so that we're prepared to be able to update the selectmen and the Board of Finance and the town.
Yep, absolutely.
That'd be great. That is all I had. Is there anything else that the members of the committee would like to bring up or discuss? Paula, you have something?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could speak because I'm not a member of the committee, but I wanted to.
You are ex officio, Paula. Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to check in. I did share with Dr. Adley when we were looking at the plans for Holmes, the service road, which is part of the final construction. There is not currently a plan to have a gate at the end of that service road. And I believe for safety reasons that will be important. So I just wanted to make sure that was on everyone's radar early, because that's something that will likely require a change in how we approach things. So
we should probably, I mean, point taken. I assume you mean the end. When you say the end, you mean the end closest to Hoyt?
The parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the back of the school is currently fenced in.
Mm-hmm.
And so the service road would mean that there would be an entrance that didn't have a gate on it.
Yeah, I guess what we need to do before we can commit one way or the other, Eric and Travis, we probably need to check from a code standpoint, especially since that's going to be access for emergency vehicles. Can we gate it if it's going to be emergency vehicle access?
Well, we currently, where the emergency vehicles would come, there is a gate on the back.
There is, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the rules are, but there's a gate.
It can be gated. It can be chained off. The emergency vehicles will come and they'll cut the chain.
Eric, will you guys take that as an action item, please?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jill?
Eric, I was asking Eric and Travis to take that as an action item.
Eric, what do you mean?
We'll review with Joe Kennis.
Eric, what do you mean they'll cut the chain?
Usually at one of these gates that's in a closed position, it will be locked with a chain and a lock, and they'll either cut the lock or the chain, or they will have access to a key that they can use.
They'll have bolt cutter emergency vehicles.
Yeah, they won't wait around for someone to come and let them in, because if it's an emergency, they need to get in quickly.
Can we confirm that with the town? Maybe I can do that.
That would be best.
Thank you, guys. I just wanted to make sure that was on our radar. And I know Kevin Monretta is still working on, we need swipes on the back playground door so we can get back in from recess. So he's still working on getting that done. I guess it's taking a little longer than expected. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to dodge anything, but my guess is it is going to be way most efficient for you to just continue to deal directly with Kevin.
Yeah,
on that,
I
if
will.
that's
I'm just giving you an update. So
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to take out the middleman.
Yeah.
You keep bugging Kevin, it's probably going to get done.
Yeah, Kevin's aware. Thank you.
Anything else, anybody?
Just thank you again for people for all your coordination with our, particularly with our principals. It's been very helpful, and things are going well. Just a wee reminder, if you don't know, I think you do by the calendar, but 22nd through the 25th of October, we have parent conferences. So there'll be a slew of parents coming in the afternoon, and then the Thursday night doesn't impact you. So, but anyway, there'll be parents on that. If it impacts any of the work or otherwise, just be aware of it.
Well, will those conferences be during the school day, such that Matt and his folks need to possibly shut down work early those days?
I don't know if they need to shut down work early. It's just be conscious of there are conferences that are going to be going on. It'll be primarily in the afternoon. There'll be one in the evening on Thursday, but that doesn't impact the work schedule. So it's just I don't know what they've got scheduled for that day, but if they could just be conscious.
Yeah, I mean, presumably the work should be sufficiently segregated that it shouldn't disrupt parents coming in and out of the school any more than it does in the morning or at pickup, right?
Yeah, for the most part, but if
FYI, right?
I was in a room today where the adjacent wall there was drilling the adjacent wall.
Right.
If they could avoid that, like during that time period or something, or that type, that's up to them. That's up to them.
Yeah. No, I think probably the best approach on that is Matt for the principals and the project superintendents to coordinate as we get closer to those days, so that the project supers are aware of it.
And we'll flag them on our weekly work planning boards as well, so that as the foremen are planning the work, they know that that's a day of some sensitivity. Similar.
Yeah, they probably ought. Yeah, probably just makes sense for them to check in with the principals and let them know what is and isn't going on that day inside the buildings or near the windows. All right, perfect. Anything else from anybody before I ask for a motion to adjourn? No? Then can I get a motion to adjourn? Jill moves, Paul seconds, all in favor. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of the evening. Talk soon. We'll see a bunch of you at OAC on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, thank you very much.